The ancient kingdom of Wagadu, West Africa's first significant state, began forming from a small kingdom into an empire around 600 CE. The Soninka people were among the first of the Mande-speaking ethnic groups to cultivate iron and use it to their military advantage, making vassals of other Africans in the region, especially the Mandinka. But like all empires, Wagadu began to fall in 1100 CE, and many of the vassals began to break away. Among them were the people of Sosso under their ruler Sumanguru Kanté. Mandinka griots speak very clearly about how powerful and ruthless Sumanguru was. He wrested power away from Wagadu, conquering their capital at Kumbisela in 1224. This victory made him the most powerful and the most feared ruler among the former vassal states. In the lands of Mima, a young Mandinka prince named Sundiata Keita begins to gain the favor of the local ruler. Though exiled from his homeland, the Mandinka were desperate and begged Sundiata to help them fight the growing dominance of Sumanguru. Sundiata was all too eager to join, as this was his opportunity to prove his worth and possibly become the ruler he was prophesied to be. The ruler of Mima aided Sundiata by supplying him with an army, the core of which were composed of cavalry. Sundiata began moving toward the southern town of Tabone. Along the way, he generated more support and brought a number of Mandinka clans under his leadership. As Sundiata continued his march, he was expected to be joined by more forces of the local ruler in Tabone. With a unified Mandinka front, this news certainly got the ear of Sumanguru. Sumanguru quickly gathered footmen from Sosso who blocked the valley that led to Tabone. As they began setting up camp, oral historians tell us that Sundiata laughed at them and proclaimed that no mere infantryman was going to stop his advance. Sundiata went on the offensive and personally led a cavalry charge which surprised the Sosso infantry, who assumed the battle would take place the next day. Sundiata quickly broke the infantry line, and griots tell us in poetic fashion how fiercely the young prince fought. Sundiata was in the middle of the Sossos, like a lion in the sheepfold. Sundiata and his men continued on the warpath. With his new force reinforced by the men of Tabone, Sumanguru came out to meet the young prince on the battlefield. Sumanguru arrived at Negaboria in present-day Guinea. It was there that he found Sundiata. Sumanguru was humiliated by the great slaughter Sundiata unleashed upon the mighty Sosso near Tabone. No army was able to halt the supreme military might of Sosso. He began deploying his men along a narrow valley, with the flanks occupying both slopes. Sundiata, organizing his men into a square formation with cavalry at the front and archers in the rear, led a ferocious charge against the center Sosso line, which initially held, but after some hand-to-hand fighting, appeared to buckle. Upon Sumanguru's orders, the Sosso flanking units swept down into the valley with great speed, attempting to encircle Sundiata. However, Sundiata had predicted this, and his prepared army quickly changed formation, with the archers reinforcing the flanks, intercepting the Sosso rush with a violent volley of arrows. Sundiata's arrows inflicted serious casualties to the Sosso, and they began to retreat. Sundiata's reserve cavalry forces counterattacked and pursued the fleeing Sosso on the flanks, while the archers turned their attention on the center of the Sosso line, breaking the will of the Sosso. Sumanguru retreats with his army, but Sundiata, curiously, does not pursue the Sosso. Sundiata takes his time and finds the Sosso army encamped near Bamako. It was here that the famous Battle of Krina took place. The previous night, the Sosso launched a surprise attack on Sundiata's camp, but Sundiata's archers were able to repel the attack with a volley of flaming arrows. By dawn, Sundiata's cavalry began charging and broke the horsemen at the center of the large Sosso force. The engagement was going well for the young prince, as his charging cavalry was saving the day. However, Sumanguru would not be undone. He deployed his large reserve, which began to push back Sundiata's forces. One by one they fell. The Mandinka were on the verge of annihilation. But great luck struck down on the young prince. In a last-ditch effort, Sundiata rallied his men to stand their ground against the Sosso. It was at this critical moment that Sundiata saw an opportunity. Sundiata pointed his arrow directly at Sumanguru. He was confident at his target because the Sosso ruler wore an obnoxiously large and tall headdress. The arrow pierced Sumanguru. Battered and wounded, the Sosso ruler fled, and in panic, his army with him. The Mandinka had now become the conquerors. A small kingdom under vassalage for centuries now reigned supreme as Sundiata unified the Mandinka and formed a new empire called the Manding Kurufaba, or the Mali Empire.